Let's turn our attention to former Principal White House Deputy Press Secretary Hogan Gidley, along with former New York State Senator David Carlucci. David, before we dive in, obviously we just talked about it with Buddy Carter. Get your reaction to the passing of Reverend Jesse Jackson. He was a giant in the Democrat Party for many, many decades in the civil rights movement. What are your thoughts on the late Reverend Jackson?
Yeah, no, thank you for asking me. And I recently, on Election Day, I published a book called President Next, where one chapter I devote to Jesse Jackson's 1988 presidential campaign. And it's a recent history. It's not too long ago, but I think a lot of Americans forget the strides that he made, winning some of those Democratic primaries like West Virginia. And I think a lot of people today stand on his shoulders. So I'm hopeful that a lot is talked about him over the next couple weeks. And his history comes to the front lines because, as the congressman said, this was a great life, well lived. So many pieces of history to share, I think, that has been forgotten. And thanks for the question.
Yeah, I think I've heard many say this morning that there would not be President Obama without Jesse Jackson there paving the way. I do want to switch gears here, Hogan. And late last night, Democrat leaders Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries reportedly sent Republicans a counteroffer in the DHS negotiations here. Lawmakers, though, as you know, they're on recess this week. And we know next week is the president's State of the Union address. Could we see a solution by then, or do you see this dragging on?
I'm not really sure because Democrats tend to be really entrenched on things like defund the police and defund ICE, these radical, ridiculous ideologies that the American people do not support. And while a lot of people out there didn't like some of the sights and sounds coming out of Minneapolis, Democrats have a tendency to really swing that pendulum way too far to the left. I think they've done so here. And also trying to push for things like demasking agents walking through city streets, even though death threats are up 8,000% on federal officers working at ICE, DHS, and of course, as I recall, and I think you two will remember, I thought Democrats were the party of masks, so I'm a little confused as to what lane they're trying to choose here. Make up your mind. Do you want us to wear them or do you not? But regardless, I think the American people deserve safety and security in their city streets. It seems like Democrats, for whatever reason, tend to side with not those who are victims of crime, but the criminals themselves. That's something we have to stop. And I think as the Republicans continue to push for some sanity, some rationale, and some thoughts that really do go to make lives more safe in a lot of these communities, that their policies are the ones that are going to win out. So I don't see an end in sight for this for now.
Yeah, David, I mean, to Hogan's point, Democrats are definitely not shying away from this shutdown, and they're blocking another stopgap bill in the Senate, digging their heels in on their demands. We're going to see it in air travel, disaster relief. Do you think the optics here work out? Because I know they've got their policy disputes, but ICE is funded.
Yeah, look, the policy disputes are very simple. And once we get into the details, if anyone bothers to do that, the American people are siding with the Democrats here. It's not just Democratic voters, it's independents, it's Republicans. All you have to do is look at the polling on the way that ICE has behaved, the way that they've been governed. And Americans want safeguards. They don't want to defund the police. They don't want to defund federal agencies, but they do want safeguards. This is about protecting our Constitution. This is about making sure that we don't have roaming paramilitary forces in our neighborhood with masks harassing our communities. This is about protecting our law enforcement to make sure that we have body cameras, that they have the right procedures, they have the right de-escalation tactics that have worked in American cities. That's all we're asking for, and the American people want that as well. So we can come up with these, slogans or sound bites or this rhetoric about, defund the police, but that is not the case, and Americans want to see these reforms.
Hogan, care to respond?
That's literally what lawmakers are calling for, is to defund ICE. So they do not want them funded at all. They want it taken out of DHS, quite frankly, and dismantled. They've been pretty open about that. But in addition, spare me we don't want people roaming our streets. I remember it was the governor himself, Tim Walz, who fired rubber bullets and flashbangs on American citizens during COVID for just standing on their front porches trying to get.
You could talk about the past and look through a rearview mirror all you want, but this is about going forward. This is about not who's right, who's wrong. Sure. This is how we make America great and how we protect our Constitution.
Of course, and we want our city streets to be safe, and let's look forward. I, for one, and I may be on the outs here, so forgive me, David, But Republicans don't want rapists and child molesters and murderers roaming the city streets, whereas Democrats have literally
no one wants that.
Trying to prevent ICE from taking those people out of their communities. There have been countless videos of people screaming at ICE agents saying, no, I know you're trying to arrest a child rapist. I don't care. You shouldn't be in my neighborhoods. This is the fight that will determine, quite frankly, a lot of votes in the midterms, how this looks moving forward. And now Donald Trump bringing Tom Homan in, everything's de-escalated. They're trying to get things done in these communities. And for whatever reason, even though cooler heads have prevailed, Democrats continue to push to defund these very
that is an incorrect statement.
The laws that they themselves
Guys, we could talk about this all morning long. I have a feeling we're not going
to talk about facts.
Decide it here.
Like, if we talk about facts, we could have a constructive conversation, but this is wrong. You've heard Democrat after Democrat talking about
politics,
we need restriction.
Yeah, we're gonna
that is on the side of the American people.
I could grab the popcorn and listen to this all morning long, but we're going to have to wrap it up there and move on. Hogan, David, it's great to see you guys. We'll definitely have you back for more of this later.
A great discussion.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
All right.